To Yellowcopter Moments. I am your Kevinly father, Kevin Williams, and we are going to chat a little bit about what the hell is going on. Trump just left for Michigan to visit a Ford plant, so that's him. CNN is the first one to broadcast this pool feed, so we'll go with CNN today. And jump in the chat room. The best place to watch this is at Kevinly Father. YouTube.com/KevinlyFather, because the YouTube feed tends to be a lot quicker than the Twitter feed or the Twitch feed, etc. So jump on into the chat and we will get going right about now.
So we have a lot of good things going. We just had a meeting with Mitch McConnell and the group, and we're working on a package of very positive things. We're getting some very good numbers. It looks like the numbers are going to be very good into the future.
Meaningless.
We're going to be very strong, starting with our transition period, which will be probably June, July. I think you're going to see some very good numbers coming out. And next year is going to be an incredible economic year for this country.
Without
One of
you,
our
yeah.
best. Always paying respects to the people that have lost their lives. We always have to remember that, the people that have lost their lives.
But you led with the number of good things and good numbers.
To Michigan, a lot of people are concerned they're flooded out. They said that's the last thing they need is for a threat to come from the president.
So we're looking at the floods. We have our people from the Army Corps of Engineers there. We have FEMA there. I spoke with the governor, Governor Whitmer, yesterday, and we have a very good understanding, but we've moved our best people into Michigan and our most talented engineers, designers, the people from the Army Corps of Engineers, and they do these things better than probably anyone in the world.
What about the funding, though?
Well, we'll take a look. No, we'll take a look. That was unrelated to that. Russia and us have developed very good relationship. As you know, we worked on the oil problem together. I think we have a very good relationship with Russia, but Russia didn't adhere to the treaty. So until they adhere, we will pull out. But there's a very good chance we'll make a new agreement or do something to put that agreement back together. But whenever there's an agreement that another party doesn't agree to, we have many of those agreements around the world where it's a two-party agreement, but they don't adhere to it, and we do. When we have things like that, we pull out also. That's why with the arms treaties, if you look at the arms treaties, we're probably going to make a deal with Russia on arms treaty, and China will be maybe included in that. We'll see what happens. But we have a lot of things. But when we have an agreement, when we have a treaty, and the other side doesn't adhere to it, in many cases they're old treaties, old agreements, then we pull out also.
All treaties are old treaties.
So I think what's going to happen is we're going to pull out, and they're going to come back and want to make a deal. We've had a very good relationship lately with Russia, and you can see that with respect to oil and what's happening with oil.
What do you think about Michael Cohen getting out of jail today?
I didn't know that.
What do you think about it?
I didn't know it. Nope, I didn't know it.
What do you think about it?
Free tensions with Russia, though, right, when you want to make things better?
Say it?
Isn't this withdrawal going to make things worse with Russia? Increase tensions?
No, I think that we're going to have a very good relationship with Russia. I think that if you look at what happened with oil, where Russia, Saudi Arabia, and us got together, and we saved in our country millions of energy jobs, and you see oil now is solidifying. So it's the best of all worlds. We're saving the energy jobs, but our drivers have a very low gasoline price.
Are you going to wear a mask today at the Ford plant?
This is
I
low.
don't know. We're going to look at it. A lot of people have asked me that question. I want to get our country back to normal. I want to normalize. One of the other things I want to do is get the churches open. The churches are not being treated with respect by a lot of the Democrat governors. I want to get our churches open.
So just a reminder, one of the churches that was open had two pastors, a man and a woman, a husband and wife, who had COVID and infected 38% of their flock. And so far, 3 people have died.
And we're going to take a very strong position on that very soon.
Also, the CDC released guidelines yesterday, kind of re-released guidelines that are vague and ambiguous. But in there, no guidelines for the churches, apparently, because this administration does not want anything released that says, hey, let's calm down on the whole gathering because Jesus is everywhere. let's go back just a second here, because what he did there, that's his signal telling one of the reporters to take their mask off.
Treated with respect by a lot of the Democrat governors. I want
Democratic.
to get our churches open, and we're going to take a very strong position
Speaking of treating people with respect, it's democratic.
on that very soon.
Okay. Take your mask off.
Moscow, yeah.
It's like, take your mask off because I can't hear you because the helicopter. If only the White House had some sort of room where you could hold press.
Including mosques. Including mosques. Yes, I wish them well. Very well. Go ahead.
Talk about the AstraZeneca an award, $1 billion for 400 million doses of a potential new vaccine. How confident are you that one will be ready by the fall?
Well, I think we have a lot of, you have AstraZeneca, which is a great company, and you have others, Johnson & Johnson. We have a lot of things happening on the vaccine front, on the therapeutic front. If you look at therapeutically, we're doing great. And on the cure front, which is the next step, I think we have tremendous things. That announcement I heard came out this morning. That's a very positive announcement in addition to all of the other announcements. We are so far ahead of where people thought we'd be, but therapeutically is very interesting what's going on in cure. So you're going to have a lot of big
There's no
announcements
cures
over
for
the
viruses.
next week or two.
Sir, you said the funding to Michigan was another issue not related to the flood. Can you just assure people?
Well,
that
we're
the
helping
conservative
Michigan with
flood-
their flood, and we have the people to do it.
Well, what about the funding, though? You said federal funding for the mail-in voting.
We don't want them to do mail-in ballots because it's going to lead to total election fraud. So we don't want them to do mail-in ballots. We don't want anyone to do mail-in ballots. Now, if somebody has to mail it in because there's
Several states already do all mail ballots, including Washington and Oregon. I've lived in Washington for, 25 years and voted every time. I can track my ballot. I send my ballot in. I can track it. I know exactly what happens to it. And if my signature doesn't match, they call me.
sick, or, by the way, because they live in the White House and they have to vote in Florida and they won't be in Florida, if there's a reason for it, that's okay.
He does travel to Florida on a regular basis, and Florida has early voting. He could have voted in Florida very easily.
If there's a reason, but if there's not, we don't want to take any chances with fraud in our elections.
The Chinese parliament is poised to pass a national security law cracking down on Hong Kong. Are you aware of this?
I don't know what it is because nobody knows yet. If it happens, we'll address that issue very strongly.
Correct, Sherry.
So it looks like G7 may be on because we've done well. We're ahead of schedule in terms of our country, and some of the other countries are doing very well. It looks like G7 will be on, a full G7, and we'll be announcing something probably early next week. I can't hear you. You have your mask on. I can't hear a word you say.
There we go. Let's take off the safety
I won't be
precautions.
talking to you about it.
I can hear her over
I
the
think
noise
it's
of the
another
helicopter.
day. I had a 2-week regimen of hydroxychloroquine, and I've taken it, I think, just about 2 weeks. I think it's another day. So, and I'm still here. I'm still here.
That's it. That's
and
proof.
I tested very positively in another sense. So this morning, yeah, I tested positively toward negative, right? So, no, I tested perfectly this morning. Meaning I tested negative.
Have you taken the antibody test yet?
But that's a way of saying it. Positively toward the negative.
Oh,
Have you taken the antibody
can you
test
explain
yet,
it one
sir?
more time? Because I'm still
No, I have
what?
not.
Columbia University put out a report in the New York Times today that 36,000 people would have been saved if you guys did social distancing measures just 1 week earlier. You
Is
believe
that a
What's
fake
your reaction to
university?
that?
I was so early. I was earlier than anybody thought. I put
Okay, so yeah, Columbia University put out a study saying that 37,000 more lives, 38, 57, depending on when you lock the country down on a national basis, that's how many more lives would have been saved if we had just done it a week or two earlier, which makes total sense, which is what I was saying, but they won't let me be in charge of anything. I don't know why. God damn.
put a ban on people coming in from China. Everybody fought me on that. They didn't want it.
No.
Nancy Pelosi, a month later, was dancing in the streets of San Francisco. in Chinatown so that people wouldn't believe what's happening, and I don't even blame that. But I was way early. Columbia is an institution that's very liberal. I think it's just a political hit job, you want to know the truth.
Columbia University is a political hit job.
You want to have the G7 here at the White House or Camp David?
We're going to have it probably at the White House and maybe a little combination at Camp David, but primarily at the White House. So if we do the G7, when that all comes together, probably it will be in D.C. at the White House. Okay? But there could be a piece.
Here's what I want one of the reporters to ask. You banned some people from coming in from China. You didn't stop any flights. We have 100,000 Americans dead. Will you admit that obviously, whatever you did, it wasn't enough? Will you take responsibility for this? I mean, he's not going to answer it, but come on, really hit him with the hard stuff. Ask the nasty questions.
Piece of it at Camp David, which is nearby. Yeah. So again, our relationship with Russia has improved greatly, especially since the Russian hoax has been proven totally false and illegal. What they did, this was an illegal hoax, and they got caught. They got caught doing a lot of bad things. So let's see how that turns out. But our relationship with Russia has come a long way in the last few months. I think that the open sky will all work out.
Hey, Chris.
But right now, when you have an agreement and the other side doesn't adhere to the agreement, we're not going to adhere to it either. But I think something very positive will work out.
We're going to cut and run.
What?
The rocket launch on Wednesday?
I'm thinking about going. That'll be next week. To the rocket launch. I hope you're all going to join me. I'd like to put you on the rocket and get rid of you for a while. Okay. Thank you very much.
The president just threatened the free press, jokingly. I'd like to
Trump on his way to
go to the rocket launch and kill you all. and that's where we are. I was going to do like the Walter Cronkite. Thursday, November 27th. I have no idea what date it is. I had to look at the computer clock, which is behind the mic. And by the time I did that, I'd already forgotten because my brain is now. Okay, so that was Yellowcopter Moments. Later, the president is going to speak to African Americans at the Ford plant in Michigan. And then he'll make some remarks and brag about how there's still 330 million Americans that aren't dead. We need to talk about that. Yeah, I don't think that was... that was Kim Jong-un. That's right. I'd like to strap you all to the rocket. Yeah, no. Per capita. I don't know, Chris, if you saw my tweet earlier about per capita, but when he said that yesterday, it just broke my brain. And someone suggested I make a clip out of that. Yes, border closure was ineffective, incomplete, and irrelevant if 100,000 died. Yes, and by the way, the World Health Organization doesn't say don't ban flights. They say do it at the beginning, close off that area, sequester everyone, but it has to be early to be effective, and it's not enough. Other measures have to be taken. That's what the World Health Organization said. It didn't say like, oh, no, don't do that, which is the Republican line. And he keeps saying that Dr. Scarf told him not to do it. She wasn't around in January. She was in South Africa. Actually, I can't say that for sure because I know she came from South Africa at the end of February. I don't know if she was in South Africa at the beginning of February or late January. I don't know. But just to be factual. Good morning, Kevin Lee. Good morning, Lucy. I art fine. Thank you very much. And you've just missed Yellowcopter Moments. You can go back and watch it in a second because I'm going to end it. In the meantime, you can look for your name right here.